Your bacon is a scam. You bought it 5 days ago. Look at it. It's slimy, starting to turn gray at the edges, and there's a sour smell when you open the package. It's already garbage. This meat is over a year old, and it is perfectly good to eat. What did a medieval farmer with an axe and a pile of wood know that your modern supermarket has forgotten? It seems impossible, a trick, but it's not. It's science. Today, we're going to uncover the lost art that made meat last for years without a single watt of electricity. And in the process, we'll reveal a difficult truth. Your modern food, in many ways, is designed to fail. We live in an age of technological miracles. We have machines that wash our clothes and refrigerators that create perpetual winter in our kitchens. So why, with all this progress, does our food seem more fragile than ever? Why does a package of bacon, a food literally defined by its preservation, become a biohazard in less than a week? This isn't just a cooking video. It is a historical investigation. We are going to resurrect a piece of the medieval world, not just to see how they did it, but to understand why their methods were so devastatingly effective. We will take a simple piece of pork and put it through a 1,000-year-old process, comparing the deep science of their multi-layered defense system against the single, fragile shield of modern refrigeration. The answer isn't just about mold, it's about economics, taste, and a trade-off we've made. We have traded robust security for immediate satisfaction. Today, we find out what we lost in that bargain. Before we travel back in time, we have to understand the ground we're standing on. Walk into any supermarket, pick up a package of bacon, and look at the ingredient list. The first thing you'll probably see after pork is water. Not moisture from the meat itself, but added water. Industrial processes inject your bacon with a saltwater solution, using machines with dozens of needles. They call this enhancing, but it really is fraud. A modern piece of bacon can contain up to 15% added water. You are paying meat prices for tap water, but the water isn't just stealing your money, it's killing your meat. Water activity is the scientific term for how much water is available for bacteria to use. Pure water has a score of 1.0. Fresh raw meat sits around 0.98. Bacteria love this. Most dangerous bacteria need a water activity level of 0.90 or higher to thrive. Your modern bacon, pumped full of profit water, sits at 0.96. It is a bacterial paradise wrapped in plastic. Here's where it gets worse. That injected water contains sodium phosphate, a chemical that makes the muscle fibers swell to hold more liquid. When you cook modern bacon, watch what happens. A white foam bubbles out into the pan. That's the added water escaping, carrying dissolved proteins with it. The bacon shrinks, sometimes by 30%. You're not cooking bacon. You're boiling injected meat in its own chemical bath. The final insult is the label. Some packages say uncured. They use celery powder instead of sodium nitrite and claim it's healthier. It's a lie. Celery powder is just concentrated vegetable nitrates. When bacteria in the meat convert those nitrates to nitrites, it's the exact same chemical your body sees. The only difference is the label and the price. You pay more for marketing. So, your bacon isn't failing. It's performing exactly as intended by the system that created it. It's a product of the cold chain, an unbroken chain of refrigeration from the plant to your home. It's designed for rapid turnover. It is utterly dependent on that chain. It is not designed to fail. It is designed for a world where failure is not an option, because there is always a refrigerator. This is the convenience we've chosen. Now, let's see the resilience we've left behind. To understand medieval meat, you have to erase the modern supermarket from your mind. Erase the refrigerator, the plastic wrap, the sell-by dates. Imagine a world governed by the turning of the seasons, a world where food is not a guarantee. It is a struggle. At the heart of the medieval year was the autumn slaughter. Keeping a large number of livestock through the winter was an impossible luxury. For a peasant family, a single pig was a huge portion of their yearly wealth. Letting it spoil was not an option. Spoilage meant starvation, especially during the late winter hungry gap. The meat preserved in autumn had to bridge that gap. Faced with this mountain of meat and the threat of winter, the medieval mind didn't search for a single solution. They developed a strategy of overlapping defenses. Modern food scientists call this the hurdle effect. Imagine bacteria as an invading army. A single wall might be easy to overcome. But what if they have to cross a dry desert, then scale a poisoned wall, then face soldiers in an oxygen-deprived environment? This is the hurdle effect. Each step in the preservation process creates a new, hostile environment for microbes. No single hurdle was perfect, but together, they created a fortress so effective it could keep meat safe not just for months, but in some cases, for years. This was a highly refined generational science. It was the science of survival. And today, we're going to rebuild it, hurdle by hurdle. Our journey begins with pork belly and the single most important ingredient in the ancient world, salt. This was not the fine iodized salt we know. It was a coarse, raw, powerful substance, so valuable it was used as currency. The word salary comes from the Latin word for salt. With our pork, we begin with a dry cure. We're not seasoning the meat. We are burying it. The goal is chemical warfare. Salt is a weapon. You take coarse salt, rub it into every surface, then lay the meat on a bed of salt in a box or crock and cover it completely. For the next several days or weeks, the meat lives in this salt tomb. What's happening is osmosis. The high concentration of salt outside the cells creates an irresistible pressure. Water inside the cells is drawn out. This dehydrates the meat, but more importantly, it attacks the bacteria. The water is ripped from their cellular structure, and they are dried to death from the inside out. The goal of heavy salting is to drop the water activity of the meat to below 0.85, creating a desert where bacteria cannot survive. But here's the genius. Medieval people often didn't just salt once. After a week, they might scrape off the wet, bloody salt and apply fresh dry salt. By the end, the meat was firm, dark, and dry. This resulting meat would be intensely salty. To make it palatable, it would have to be soaked in fresh water for hours, even a day. This was the fundamental trade-off. To achieve a long shelf life, you sacrifice the convenience of a ready-to-eat product. After its time in salt, the pork emerges transformed. It is firmer, darker, and lighter. It is now technically preserved. But to make it last through the seasons and protect it from insects and mold, our ancestors employed two more powerful hurdles: smoke and air. The key was a long, slow, and cool process. We're not talking about hot smoking, which cooks meat. We're talking about cold smoking, where the temperature is kept low, often below 85 degrees, 30 degrees, for days or weeks. The choice of wood was critical. Hardwoods like oak, hickory, or beech smolder and release a cocktail of hundreds of chemical compounds. The most important are phenols. These phenols are disinfectants. They penetrate the surface of the meat and kill bacteria on contact. They also act as antioxidants, stopping the fat from going rancid. But they do something else. The smoke causes the proteins on the surface to form a dry, tough pellicle of microscopic skin. This skin is a physical barrier, sealing the meat from new bacteria and insects. While this is happening, the flow of air continues to dry the meat, making it even more hostile to microbes. The deep, smoky taste we love is a secondary consequence. It is the taste of preservation. Alternatively, meat could simply be hung to dry in a well-ventilated space, turning it into the original jerky. This was the ultimate portable food, fuel for voyages and armies. Whether through a smoky pellicle or complete dehydration, the principle is the same. Deny water to the enemy, and you will win the war against decay. The hurdles of salt, smoke, and air were the foundation. But for the ultimate in long-term storage, there were more advanced methods. One of the most elegant was sealing the meat in fat, the principle behind confit. Salted meat would be slowly cooked, packed into earthenware pots, and then completely submerged in rendered lard. As the fat cooled, it solidified, creating a perfect airtight seal. This creates an anaerobic environment, a world without oxygen. Most spoilage microbes need oxygen to live. By submerging the meat in fat, you suffocate them. A pot of confit could be stored in a cool cellar for months, its contents perfectly preserved and tender. Perhaps the most complex method was fermentation, used for sausages. This technique didn't just kill bacteria, it recruited an army of beneficial bacteria. Ground meat, fat, salt, and spices were stuffed into casings. The salt created the initial hurdle, giving good guys, lactic acid bacteria, a chance to work. These bacteria consume sugars and produce lactic acid. This acid slowly lowers the pH of the meat, making it too acidic for pathogens like Salmonella or E. coli to survive. A properly fermented and dried sausage was a masterpiece of microbiology that could last for over a year at room temperature. These techniques, salting, smoking, drying, sealing, and fermenting, were a vast, living body of knowledge, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of absolute necessity. Here we are. In one hand, our store-bought bacon, slimy after 5 days. In the other, this, a piece of pork that has been salted, smoked, and aged for over a year. It's dark, hard as a rock, and smells of smoke and thyme. Let's do the final showdown using the science of the hurdle effect. Our modern bacon has two fragile hurdles, a low level of nitrites and refrigeration. The high water content makes it incredibly vulnerable. Our piece has cleared at least 3 major hurdles. It's a defense in depth. That is the difference between 5 days and over a year. Now, the moment of truth. This is not something you just bite into. I've been soaking this smaller piece in water for 24 hours to draw out the excess salt. I'm slicing it thinly to add to a simple pottage of lentils, much as a medieval peasant would have. All right, the stew is ready. The texture is nothing like modern bacon. It's dense and chewy, more like a country ham. The flavor, wow. The first thing you get is smoke, an incredible, deep smokiness. Then the salt hits you. It is profoundly salty, but in a savory, mineral way. And behind that, a flavor modern food rarely has. Age, a funky, nutty flavor from the slow transformation of proteins and fats over a year. It's incredibly intense. A tiny piece has infused this entire stew with a rich, savory depth. You would not eat this on its own. This is a powerful flavoring agent. This is the taste of a different time. So, we have our answer. Medieval meat lasted for years because it was designed to. It was the product of a brutal but brilliant system. The hurdle effect, that layered defense upon defense to create something almost indestructible. Its hardness and saltiness weren't flaws. They were the features that guaranteed its longevity. In contrast, our modern bacon is a product of luxury and convenience. Its soft texture and high moisture content are what we demand. Its fragility is a direct consequence. We haven't forgotten how to make meat last. We've just chosen not to. We've traded the robust resilience of the medieval larder for the convenience of the modern supermarket and the energy-hungry hum of the refrigerator. There's no judgment here, but understanding this trade-off is important. It reminds us of the incredible ingenuity of our ancestors. This piece of year-old, rock-hard meat isn't just a curiosity. It's a lesson in resilience. The medieval farmer with his smokehouse wasn't a primitive. He was an engineer who understood that food is chemistry. We forgot that. We traded his fortress for a cold chain and called it improvement. Medieval bacon was food designed to survive. Yours is designed to sell. The choice is yours. So I have to ask, would you be brave enough to try this? Or has our modern palate become too accustomed to convenience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed uncovering this piece of lost history, subscribe, and let's keep digging up what they buried.